G'day viewers, this is Troy from Troy's Digital Arts channel. Today I've been working on connecting the circuits together, and I've sort of been thinking on where should I position all the circuitry, because I was initially going to position the circuitry all around the framework on the NBTV camera, but it's just going to be a bit of a cumbersome job because the circuits, some of the circuit boards just don't fit nicely into position. So instead I've decided to mount them all on a piece of chipwood. So yeah, I've hot glued the main sync processing board, the video sync mixer and LED driver board onto the piece of chipboard. Plus connecting them together, I decided to put some stick some wires out from the circuits, so that way I can easily solder them on top instead of from the bottom, because obviously it'd be impossible to solder underneath after gluing it to the board. So that's what I've done. So I've put the terminals on top. So far I've wired up most of the circuitry together. I've connected, and here's where the main power's coming in. Put a terminal block there so I can screw and unscrew it. It's from the main power source. Here I have a terminal to connect the various voltages to, connect to the various power boards to supply the power. This terminal has got 4 points. One's going to the power source to the head amp. This lead's going to go to the motor course speed control. This connects to the main sync processing board, and this one connects to the sync mixer. Now I've decided this board here has got two power sources. One's 5 volts DC and one's 12 volt DC. I decided to daisy chain the 5 volt with the 12 volts from 12 volt output. So basically the main power source will be inputting to the 12 volt regulator, and on the output of the 12 volt regulator will connect to the 5 volt regulator, given the 5 volts. I thought it'd be more convenient that way, so I don't have to put so many leads coming from the main power source. And also same with the variable regulator, which I'll set to 10 volts. So I'll be getting the main power source coming into the 10 volt regulator. Output will be 10 volts, and then that's daisy chained with the 9 volt regulator for the LED driver board. Now I haven't actually tested it out, so hopefully it'll all work out nicely that way, otherwise I'll have to make some changes. Now the main power source going to the main regulators, I decided to put heat sinks on those, as I've seen that they do actually kind of run a bit hot. Well, I noticed that with the LED driver board, so making on the assumption that these regulators are going to be pulling a bit more current, I decided to put heat sinks on them to dissipate the heat. I think the 5 volt and the 9 volt regulator will be quite right, so I haven't bothered putting heat sinks on them yet. But if I notice they do get a bit hot on testing, I will of course add heat sinks to them as well. Anyway, as mentioned earlier, these boards are mostly wired up. There's still some points I've got to solder some wires to. I've got to connect the encoder disc circuit to the input of this main sync board. that I'll do at a later date. Also I've got to output 5 volts to the encoder circuit. Yes, this 5 volt regulator is daisy chained to both the crystal clock circuit and the 5 volt and the disc encoder circuit. So I'll be doing them quite soon. Now I've got the LED driver board mostly connected up. The only thing I've got to connect is the outputs to the LED light bank. And anyways, over here I've got the video input from the head amp, so I've connected it like so. I put it onto a mounting piece, I hot glued it onto there, and got the leads coming out to the video sync mixer board. And of course I simply just plugged this video output lead from the head amp straight into the socket. So yeah, it's starting to come along quite nicely, and the circuitry's all starting to take shape. And I'm nearly, I'm pretty much not too far from completion. Of course I have to actually test it all out, and yeah, I've not tested the boards individually to see if they work, so I'm pretty much going for broke here, and if one or more of the boards is not working for every reason, I'm going to have to rip them off the chipboard and fault find and fix up the problems. When I'm making these circuits, I always trace them out as I do them, which I mark the circuitry in red, and then I double check afterwards to make sure that I've connected each component correctly and wired it up all correctly and everything like that. But even when doing that, I have a knack of still overlooking a certain component which I may have incorrectly connected, and yeah, I have to then go fix it up again. It's just one of those things, but hopefully I've got it all wired up correctly so I don't have to go through the pain of doing that. Anyway, so yeah, this board is going to be situated somewhere about here, and I've put two holes in the back here so I can fasten it to the main platform that the NBTV camera is sitting on, or should I say the base. Get my words mixed around. Anyway, so yeah, that's where it's going to be situated. Here I've got the power lead going to the head amp, which plugs in like so, and the video connector goes in like so. This lead will connect to the resistor bank here, which connects to the motor speed control unit, the course speed control units. This lead is coming from the gate of the BZ71 transistor, which will be connecting to the fine speed control section of the main sync board, which I'll fine tune the speed to, which will then make the motor go at a certain speed, which will then automatically be adjusted from the sync pulses to be that of NBTV speed of 750 RPM. But anyway, yeah, this lead connects to that section of the circuit, and the 5 volts. The 5 volts output there will, as well as the input here, will connect to the encoder circuit over here. And this encoder circuit Yeah, the 5 volts will go to the plus volt section of it. The input will connect to the encoder's output, which I believe is the middle lead. Now this encoder circuit, I have to mount it somewhere. I think I might have to put some extension leads so I can find a suitable place to mount it somewhere along here. But anyway, that connects up to the main sync board. And of course, yeah, the LED driver will connect to the LED bank over here. So I'm going to get some long leads and feed them somewhere around here. I've got to try and make it as little distance as possible, to making the assumption that the longer the leads are, the more degraded the signal will be. So I have to try and make it short as distance as possible. So I'll be probably running the leads somewhere down the area near the disc, but without the leads touching the disc. Anyhow, so yeah, this camera is really taking shape. Hopefully I'll have it all up and testing within the next few days, depending on my mood and all that sort of thing. I've got motivational issues, but hopefully I'll get it up and running within the few days. Hopefully everything's all correctly wired up and hopefully it'll all work. Also, I've been discussing the motor setup in the NBTV forum. The members agree that this gear ratio setup is a much bigger improvement than the last one. Having a big gear driver here and all that, and connecting the belt to the main spindle pulley, which of course resulted in the motor having to work harder and draw more current. It still suggested I try and even reduce the size of the gear pulley even more, to make it, just the actual spindle itself, but with a bit of heat shrink over it. Using this rotary knob from the sewing machine as the pulley, I don't think it'll work out too nicely having the belt connected to the spindle, because this rotary knob's actually a bit slanted, bit beveled, so the belt will pretty much slip down it and come right off, just having it without having a fixed positioning on at least one end for the belt. So I guess if I find a pulley that can fix the belt at one end here, I can actually run it off the spindle, but until then we'll have to make do with the setup we've got here. But as mentioned in a previous video, I'm actually quite satisfied with how the motor is running, and I'm going to get it all set up to run the way it is. Anyhow, so yeah, that's my latest update. I should hopefully, as mentioned, get this up and running within a few days, and hopefully it will work. Anyhow, stay tuned for the next video. This is Troy from Troy's Visual Arts channel, signing out.